beef tips. That one's it. Oh, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of that. See how I did that? I just kind of like, in the news when they fuck up, when they're like, yeah, fucking his mom was a slut. We're on. So, 3-person homicide over in I-15. So that's basically what I just did. Welcome to another episode of Nightmare Road. I, of course, am one of your hosts, Decon, the Swamp Donkey. And, but in Australia, that's what they call an ugly woman. They're like, there I was down at the pub and I saw a couple swamp donkeys, so I took them both home.
Oh, wow.
I said, this one's for Steve Owen. Anyway, so yeah, and I am here. And I am here. Do you like my shirt?
Yeah. Can't see the P, so it looks like it says Black Anther.
No, it's black. It's Black Panther.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want anybody to think that it's Black Panther from Marvel. It's actually Fred Hampton from the Black Panthers in Chicago, bitch.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm here with my co-host, Laura Slasher. So today's episode is an interesting one. So I'm going to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
As a Latina, I hate when people say that. As a Latino, whatever. So like as a fucking Mexican.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Mario Moreno Cantinflas?
Yes.
Okay. And when you think about this name, what comes to mind?
Well, the topic today, obviously, because in discussing it, but also his movies and things with the mermaids.
Not the mermaids. When people say, when you think about Cantinflas, like what comes to mind? And for me, it's as a younger man, my father would watch these movies. They were on, and man, boy, was it a good time. They were hilarious. This guy was so good at what he did that his way of speaking, his way of getting out of certain situations was just we were talking about this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Was something that people like attribute to Vince Vaughn, like how he's always is like, I don't understand. Like, I don't know. Maybe I should go. Maybe I should stay. Maybe I should go. Maybe you should go. Maybe I don't know. It's completely up to you. So that in Spanish, they call that type of comedy cantinfleando. And because he says a lot of nothing, and he's the one that made it popular, So this guy was so beloved by people that shut up, Titan. This guy was so beloved by people that once a year they have like a day of mourning for him, So it's like Dia de Luto. So, and he's like the only actor in Mexican history to actually get that, So, people think of his movies, he was funny. There's like great movies out there. They're in Spanish, but some of them I think they translated, but it just doesn't translate well, I don't think you can translate that. Yeah. But one thing that people didn't know or they heard around, but I don't mean like on TV or anything like that. It was just like around that area, right? Around Acapulco, where he lived. There was these weird little rumors that were going around.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they would say is like, oh, Cantinflas' house is over there. They're like, oh, really? Yeah. Do you believe in mermaids? They're like, what? Do you believe in mermaids? And they ask that question, like, why? What? Did you know that he believed in mermaids and he was obsessed with them? And then you're like, what? And for the longest time, that was a rumor. I heard that a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And then it was like recently, what?
To be fair, it is still like could it be, could it not be, like type of thing, but it's leaning more towards yes, obviously, with all the stuff.
Do you believe in mermaids?
I believe there's something else. Like we were talking about this also earlier, is like the majority of the ocean has been unexplored. It's unexplored. I mean,
only 96%.
Only. And so somewhere in those 96%, I'm sure You know, there's something weird.
Yeah, dude,
So
you just never know.
it could be.
Just like how old sailors would talk about, like, you see this, one of my favorite type of art, you know this, is woodcut, right?
Hmm.
When they would carve it onto the wood, and they would take that and they would like print it like on a piece of paper, and they there wasn't much room for a lot of detail, so they had to make it in their way as detailed as possible, like exaggerate things so you don't focus
Yeah.
on the small details, you only look at the big picture. So one of my favorite things was looking at pictures of like the Kraken, when they're like, oh, there's a fucking giant squid. Get out of here.
He loves you.
Anyway, yay. So anyway, so you hear these stories, right, of the Kraken, and for the longest time people were probably like, all right, those are sailor stories, they're stupid. And then all of a sudden they discover the giant squid, and they're like, holy shit, there's a squid out there. It's fucking gigantic. And then they discover the colossal squid.
Isn't that so weird? Like, it's so.
Shut up.
He's calling you. Isn't it crazy, I guess, like that those things are in the ocean, kind of just, like wandering around, and there are things that are bigger than that, and then that there's like things that are bigger than that, and then it's like nobody knows, and like it's gross.
Yeah, the thought of that,
I
like
don't like it.
like the thought, like you just get, because it gets to the point when they're like, this is called the midnight zone because no light penetrate and it's just pitch black.
Yeah,
And
I
then
don't like
imagine it's just pitch black and you see like a small spark somewhere, and then there's like another spark, and another spark. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And then they use those those special lights that are red,
that.
because it's so dark that light doesn't penetrate, but you need a special light. So they use the red and they flash it around. They see these fucking giant teeth and have these fish that have like these bioluminescent, like, and to track things. And
Yeah,
some of the, it's fucking creepy.
like in Finding Nemo.
Yeah, like in Finding Nemo. And what's creepy about that is that they have things like sperm whales that are like down there. And it's like the largest animal with teeth. Like,
Yeah.
like
And the ocean is so disturbing. Like you don't know what's there.
you have no idea.
There's so many weird things already, and then everything else is kind of just wandering around.
Yeah, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And the whole concept of you're down there, and guess what? You can't be down there because unless you have like a submarine, it's gonna crush and kill you.
Yep.
You're like, what the? Because you know what causes that pressure?
Wait, like the water?
Yeah, like the weight of the water.
The amount of water.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
It's crazy.
The weight of the water will crush you and make you explode.
Yeah.
There's these animals just blowing around,
Yeah, it's nasty.
It's a gross thought. Jeez. Anyway, so when I'm gonna tell you a story. Ask me if I believe in mermaids. Go ahead.
Okay. Do you believe in mermaids?
Yes.
Tell your story.
Okay, I'm gonna tell my story. Okay. When I was a kid, there's a lake in El Salvador called Lago de Lopango, right? And that lake itself has an insane story. So it was an explosion, a volcanic, an eruption, and it created this giant crater. And from that crater was born this lake. And to me, what's insane is that we've had this argument, or not argument, but discussion about how you're like, that was a long time ago. And to me, 1891 is not a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
It was.
I explained to you what I meant, but like, I know what you mean for history.
For a historical event like this, like there was a massive, fuck, a shitload of people, an explosion. Think about this, okay? An eruption in the middle of the jungle. Isn't that insane? Created a lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about that. You know, in 1890, fuck, this house was
Not
the
go ahead.
foundation of this house was around. This farm was around in the 1870s. Think about
Yeah,
that. So
but it's not just the eruption of that that's crazy. It's what's in there now.
yeah, so when you look at when you look at this lake, there's statues of these, they call them virgenes because of Catholicism, right?
Hmm.
Anything that's that they look at it like it's deemed of worship, they're like it's a virgin, like the Virgin Mary and all that kind of stuff. So in Catholicism, especially in Latin America, I always think that Hispanic Catholicism is so much different than Catholicism in English because
Yeah.
it's so much more idolatrous,
Hmm.
you know, to the point where if there's a woman and she casts miracles, well, guess what? She's a virgin now. She's a virgin, and we
Yeah.
must worship her too.
Hmm.
So anyway, so there's these statues that are in the bottom of this lake, and they just call them las vírgenes de Lopango, and they're like, where are they? They're at the bottom of this lake. What are they doing there? I don't know. How did they get there? I have no idea. Like how? Who made them? We don't know. And then you look at a closer inspection of them, and they're by the okay. So there's people out there that are archaeologists, and they examine this kind of stuff, and then you can scuba dive and go look at them. They look at it, and it's like, what's crazy is that these statues are older than this lake.
Hmm.
You know, because it looks like they were not even chiseled. How did they say? They explained that some of the facial features of these statues, almost like they were polish shaped. You know, so they were taking a stone, a rough stone, and they just like polished around until it took the shape. You know,
Hmm.
and you look at this kind of stuff, and it's like that's how these faces were made, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And there's also like little areas where there was like little temples, like in the bottom, just like ruins of these
Hmm.
what were like little areas that you can go in just at the bottom. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? You know? So there's one statue there that's kind of halfway in the water, but some people say that if you dig, it looks like it's a mermaid tail. You know, it's a sirena. You know, and so
Hmm.
then this brings into my my story. Okay, so when I was a kid, my uncle was a fisherman by trade. So that's what he did. He was just a fisher. Damn it, this cat. He was a fisherman, and he also did tours. Like he would take people all around, and that's just what he did, right? So his son did the same thing. He's also a painter. He's not dead. He's a painter, and he's an artist. He does all kinds of cool shit too. Like he made this like really cool like painting of this little girl with a dog out of Kool-Aid. Like yeah, I'll bring him up next time. So he has all these things, right? So that was their trade, is they would go into the water, they would go, and then one day they're doing like a go around, like, hey, quieres salir a pasear? Hey, you want to go like just go around? And it was like, yeah.
Hmm.
So we mount on this little boat that has like a little motor, and we're going around. And there's an island there called La Isla de los Quemados, the island of the burned. You know,
Hmm.
so it's a small island that's on there, but there's also rocks. And what they used to do in the 1980s was they would take people that were political prisoners and they would put them on this island and they would just mow them down with machine gun fire from a helicopter. Um, but the La Isla de los Quemados. So one day we're going past this island, and when I don't know if it's because of the amount of atrocities that happen on this little island, but you always get like a bad vibe. And I remember that as a kid, we were going past it, and I remember looking, and I remember squinting, like what is that on that rock? And I could live to be 100, and I'll never forget. Like it looked like a fishtail, like pretty big, a fishtail sitting on top of the rock,
Hmm.
and it had hands, and it had like the hands like on the side, and it had kind of like a lizard type of face. And I remember like looking, and it was like looking around, and it like stuck his tongue out, like, and then I was like, what the fuck? And then I remember seeing that, and I just remember like, what did I, like, what the fuck did I just see? And I remember my brain just, and I kept looking and I could still see it from a distance. It was just sitting there, just like looking around. And then many, many, many years later, even now I look back and it's almost like either you try to convince yourself that you didn't see that you saw, or you're trying to rationalize it, right? So like for me, it's like, well, they do have iguanas. Maybe it was just a giant iguana and I mistook a tail or a feet for like a fish tail. And I mistook the hands for like human like hands. And so I told this story to my uncle, and I don't like, and I was embarrassed. When you're a kid and you don't want to seem like an idiot, so he's like, oh, Tío Dimas, mire, le quiero decir algo. I saw something, and then he's like, well, what did you see? And I told him the story, and then he says, yeah, and I go, what? And then he tells me the story. He says, when I was younger, he says, I was going on this lake and a storm was coming. My engine died and I had no like tarp on top. So if it started to rain, it was going to get filled with water, and guess what's going to happen? So he said that he was like panicking and he's like, I'm going to drown, because he's a very good swimmer. But, when a storm comes in, you're kind of fucked, So he was like, I'm gonna drown. And then he said that he didn't know what to do, and he's kind of like sitting on the boat. He's like, oh man, I didn't even bring my oars because I thought this was gonna be quick, whatever. So then he said that all of a sudden the boat starts moving, and he says it starts picking up speed. And then he goes and he's like tapping the little motor, like the little engine. He's like, is it coming on? And then he says, no, it's dead. Like the propellers are dead. So he's like, what the fuck is going on? And then he said that he looks into the water and he could see hair like moving underneath the water. And he says that he could see like hands like on the boat. And then he said it put him pretty close to shore, to the point where like with the momentum, with the inertia, he was going, like he made it on the land, right? So he gets there and he's like, what the fuck? And then he says that so boats have slime on the bottom from like the algae and all that kind of shit. He says that he saw handprints, on there. And then he told me that's the day that a sirena, not a siren. He told me that what I saw was a siren, and what he saw was a mermaid. So I was like, fuck. And then I always held to that story. So to this very day, I'm like, I do believe, like, why would he lie about me? Like, like, why would he make that up?
Yeah.
There's like a lot of questions. So with this actor, oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So with this actor, like when I found out and people are like, this fucking weirdo and he's with this fucking mermaid, and I'm like, I believe him,
He did have like a weirder way of looking at things. Like there's people that believe in it, which is all fine. You believe in it, right? He was more obsessed, in love with mermaids and the thought of mermaids, not sirens. And his whole thing was like he wanted desperately to be in a romantic relationship
with a mermaid. Did I tell you the story that that he told somebody, and that he told in an old interview about how he became obsessed?
So you did. I also heard that story when I started like listening. I don't know exactly. You're talking about the guy in the bar?
Yeah.
Okay, so the one that I heard was that same thing about like the rock and like all that. But what I heard was that he was talking to this man and like I guess expressed to him or like confided in him that he's always wanted to meet a mermaid. And then
I've heard that version too. There's
So
two versions. There's two versions of the story. I like mine better.
Oh, okay, go
ahead. No, because yours is, I've heard that one. That one actually came from a family member of his. That this man was a known sailor, a known captain, and everybody knew him. you know, and everybody's like, oh yeah, that's so and so. And then he always carried the stone, right? He always carried the stone with. I mean, he gave it to Cantinflas. Here you go. My version of the story is much better because he's talking to this man, and this guy, he tells him the same shit, right? Like mermaids, and this guy's telling him about mermaids, like las sirenas, and he gives him this stone, and then he's like, what? And then the guy gets up and leaves, right? The guy leaves, and Cantinflas is like, who is that guy? And they're like, what guy? And he's like, the guy that I was just talking to. And they're like, you were sitting here by yourself. And he's like, no, I wasn't, you know. And supposedly but both stories do have as a, you know, something that everybody can say, like, yeah, this definitely happened, was the fact that he did give him a stone.
Yeah. So in the version that I heard, he was talking to this man named Carlos Lorenzo Hernandez, and that he confided in him. I've always wanted to meet a mermaid, and this man like didn't judge him. He like didn't laugh at him or whatever. But then instead he asked him like, "What are you willing to give to make your dream come true?"
It's creepy.
Yeah. They kind of like smiled at each other. Supposedly they ended the night with like a hug.
Sex. Oh.
Laughing. Ended the night with a hug and laughing and whatever. Some people say that he was signing paperwork. Other people say that they just like hugged and took off, but that he did give him this little rock, and that he had told him, go and buy a house in what is it, Acapulco. Go and buy a house there. Like, this is where you're gonna build this house or have this house or whatever. And when it's finished, I'll go and I'll pick up the rock. Like, I'll go get it from you. What?
So I didn't hear that I'm gonna go pick up the rock because he had the rock, you know. And what's interesting is that when a lot of people are like, is this bullshit? Like, in some movies, he's holding something. And if you look closely, he's holding a fucking see-through rock. And you're like, what is that? You know?
Yeah, they said it looked like quartz.
Yeah, it looked like it's so. And so I think it's in El Padrecito where he plays a priest. And on there, he does discuss like the ocean, you know, like the ocean and all kinds of like its magic. And there's a scene where he's waiting for these students to come in and he's holding something. And you're like, what is that? I thought it was a watch for the longest time. I'm like, no, that's not a watch, you know. And turns out he's holding his fucking stone, you know, and it's in some of the movies.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that man ever, you know, picked up the rock, but when the house was done, it's supposedly this man like showed up at like 2 a.m. and he was like, I need you to build a statue of yourself, you know, and like put it in front of, or like at the back, you know, like where the sea is, so that the mermaids, you know, don't get lost when they come and like visit you, and like paint little like animals or whatever, like sea life, I guess, like on the wall, so that they
make it decorative, you know.
And he did. And apparently this man went back and was like, hey, go look next to your statue. And that when he went, there was mermaids in the water waiting for him. And that's when he became like, oh my God.
Like, oh, the fucking mermaid, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And supposedly, this is where it starts getting creepy. So his wife, his first wife, I think actually he was only married once. So his wife, she would say that she would tell, because they adopted a kid, right? That's a fuck. She didn't want to talk about that, but so they adopted a kid, a woman, you know, from Texas, went and like was stranded there, and then he helped them. Like, I know somebody that can help you. Somebody said to her, so they brought her to Cantinflas, and Cantinflas was known as being very generous and very charitable. She had no money to get back to the United States, so he's like, hey, you know, stay with us for a little bit. And one of the stories is that she had a baby. She was already pregnant. She had a baby, and he's like, hey, we can't conceive, you know. And she's like, I'll give you the baby, you know. Other stories say that he impregnated her. And that's how he ended up with the baby. So anyway, so his son, whether or not, you know, it's not biologically his, whether or not it's biological, his son said that his mom would say that he would just not be around that night. And she's like, you know, the first night she would go out there and he was just standing there by the sea, you know, with this fucking stone, like whistling. She's like, just whistling. and like "Vente chiquita, ven chiquita," you know, and just like saying that to him, like murmuring for hours. And she's like, "What is going?" You know, and then eventually he like confessed to her, like, "Yeah, you know, it's for the mermaids." So,
Can you
so then,
imagine?
yeah. So you know, what's crazy is I heard these stories that he was obsessed with mermaids. Like he liked mermaids, and people are like, "Did you know that he wanted to trap a mermaid? He wanted to do all these things, you know?" And then they're just stories. They're just rumors, right?
Hmm.
Like, oh, there's a rumor. Like, yeah, he was a wacky dude. So, but then what's creepy is the fact that when he died and the house was left and the house was sold, the people that bought the house, you know, they started like releasing pictures of his fucking house. So this house was bought, and then pictures start being released, and they're like, and then that's when people were like, holy shit, all those fucking rumors are true. You know,
Hmm.
because people only heard them as small stories. People would talk about in town, like, "Oh, did you know he likes mermaids?" Like, who doesn't like mermaids? Who hasn't seen the movie Hook when they're
Let
like
me
giving
show
him
you
air?
the back of the house. So there's not really too many pictures of like the inside and the front of the house. Apparently it's built like you get there, I guess, like at street level and you go down into the house. So
Yeah,
there's no like front, like whatever. But this is the back.
that's so fucking weird.
Yeah. So those pools, right now, I guess because like they're broken and stuff, but they connect straight to the water. Um,
Yeah,
the space on the left side, like the left little pool, that little space, I don't know if it's always been open, but they were saltwater pools, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. There was salt water. So the stories that I heard, and some of the people that there's also really old pictures um, of this place.
mhm,
So they said that there was like metal bars. So like
yeah,
going like you can go in like from the ocean, you can go into this pool, but then like coming out was a little bit more of a chore. Yeah, it was a little bit more of a chore.
I don't know where these are in this. I took screenshots from a video, so I'll put like the link for it in the description, but they show so much of the house. It's just this section, they just like filmed it and then kind of moved on. I don't know if they're pointing up or pointing down, but it's very weird. There
Yeah,
are a lot of just like bars everywhere.
yeah. So supposedly it's a cisterna. So like a cisterna is kind of like those old timey like traps where like fish can go in this way, but they can't like come out because of the
Uh-huh.
angle. So I guess that he built those things so where like a mermaid's supposed to. He would throw meat into the water to feed them, and then he would throw like meat into the pool, and then he would sit there and like with that stone and try to call them in. So if a mermaid were to go through, she couldn't get out. So yeah, so okay, so this is one of the stories, right? And there's people that were cuidanderos that took care of this house,
Hmm.
and there was like people that were sons or they were like very young when they like helped build the house, and they were albañiles, and they talk about how you know there was rooms underneath the house, like a basement type of thing,
Hmm.
but it was also like pools there too, and there was bars. So so the way that this guy said was that there was like a square, I guess, that it acted almost like a chute, so you can go in and then you close it, and then you can like put locks on it.
Okay. So I just before we started recording, I was watching a video of this girl that they take her scuba diving like under the front section or the back section, I guess, of the house. And there are like little pathways. Like she said, it looks like it was there to like entertain the mermaids, like so they can like you know how you put like rocks or
Yeah,
like
like
whatever in fish tanks.
yeah,
It was like that. Like it was like a little like mermaid playground under the water.
under the water, and
And she's like, and it looks like if he put these things here so that they would like pass by or like sit on it or whatever. And she found a really old, really gigantic set of keys in the water.
yeah, so that's what these people said, and these locks were like you said, big keys, big
Hmm.
fucking like locks. So I
Yeah.
guess that it was like a little square, and you would go to play into this pool area, and I guess that they would just shut that gate and fucking lock it. Like, you're not leaving, you
Yeah.
know. So he built like a what was like a supposedly like a mermaid prison,
Hmm.
like in his house. And you think like that's insane, it's very disturbing.
Yeah.
So mermaid prison, what and you talked about this earlier. So supposedly there's a story out there. I can't confirm nor because I wasn't there. But
Hmm.
supposedly he had a maid, and the way that it was set up was you can go certain sections in the house, but a lot of sections were off limits. You're not allowed to go here, you're not allowed to go there. And I guess she had like a little girl, and this girl was exploring the house, and the the story goes that she went into a room like down like by the basement, and he freaked out, and he told her and her mom, get your shit, get out of my house. Threw them out because they were living there.
Hmm.
So get your stuff, get out of the house, and just threw them out. So people are like, what did she see, what did she find? And there's an interview. Why don't you tell that interview? I don't know if it's the same, it could be, but it could not be.
I don't know if it's they have her face blurred out.
Mhm.
Um, but she's saying basically that in one of these rooms, or I guess maybe multiple rooms, I don't know, but that he had pools, like really shallow pools, and that it had like cages or like bars on top, and that in there were these things, like these mermaid things. She said that they were like 180, 190 centimeters, I assume.
Mhm.
How long would that? I don't know how tall that would be, but that they're like these long things, whatever, and that they had really small noses, that they looked like fish, that they were really like ugly. She said they had like fish eyes, and obviously, the tails or whatever. Um, and that he had them there, like in that pool area, like
It's just
shallow pool,
trapped.
just trapped. Um, there were other stories that said, like he would keep these mermaids, either one or two or whatever, keep these mermaids with him at night, and then during the day they would leave and go do what, I don't know, whatever mermaid stuff they go
Mermaids
do.
do go to
Yeah,
their job.
go back to their children or whatever. But that at night they would come back and be with him so that he wouldn't um, expose them or whatever.
Huh, that's such a weird thought because um one of the stories that there's so many and it's hard because how much of it is just like the rumors, how much of
Yeah,
it is like firsthand accounts, like that's what he said, that's what so a story was that he made a deal with some of these mermaids, that some of them sound like sirens, that supposedly he was feeding them like people or some kind, like he was like it was like a sacrifice of some kind that he would do. And like I said, these were stories that were rumors that were around, and it was sounded so stupid. And then there was these when the people were able to go inside that abandoned house, that abandoned mansion, they found pools with like statues of people like trying to get out of the water, and they were
there's
very human.
yeah, in the front of, or the back. I keep saying the front because that's the only section they show, but in the back of the house, there's a statue that's like halfway in the water, and it looks like it's trying to get out. Um, it used to have human legs, and then over like years or whatever, they're like, oh, it's because it's a mermaid, and like it broke in half, and like whatever. But
It's so weird. Look at that.
that, yeah, it looks like it's trying to get out of the water.
Get out of the water.
Hmm.
That's
And
so creepy.
it's such a creepy thing to have. Like, why would you have that?
Yeah, because it doesn't even look like something that's having fun. Like if you look, it looks
Mhm.
distressed. It looks like it's just reaching,
Yeah,
you know,
like it's trying to get out.
trying to get out like desperately,
And
like
right there next to that, it's like where like the hand is or whatever. That's where the pool kind of starts. There's like a little piece like under, and then the pool starts there.
that's so fucking weird. Like that's
Mhm.
so creepy,
Yeah,
And if you look at do you have pictures of the guy, of the actor?
yeah.
So look at that. I mean, well, that second one where he like made his money and everything, and
Yeah,
he looks like somebody that would feed, space aliens.
he
But I mean, but look
too.
at that guy. Like was just like a goofy dude. You know, his movies are, like I said, to this day, to me, they hold up. Like I could watch him and laugh because it's funny in the comedy. I still use a phrase, by the way, like I told you earlier, is like,
Mhm.
what do you don't know anything about art when you make something fucked up,
Yeah,
So yeah, and you look at that man, and then you just gotta think like, what kind of fucking life did you have that you spent a lot of your nights, you know, out there just staring out into the ocean
hmm
with your fucking makeshift cages in the house and all these things, like you're gonna capture the, you know,
because there's two sides like to the story. Some people say that he spent his entire like adult life and rest of his life like waiting for these mermaids, like trying to catch one and whatever. And then there's the other people that are like, no, like he had mermaids living there, like that was his
like,
thing. Is like they would have these parties with like all these rich people and powerful people,
you know who
and the
went there?
mermaid. I heard John Wayne, I heard Frank
Yeah,
Sinatra, Elizabeth Taylor.
Richard
um
Nixon.
yeah, the mermaids were like the main entertainment of these
Yeah, you know
parties.
what's fucked up is Richard Nixon said that he went to a party in Mexico to look at exotic creatures that he cannot explain how they got there. And you're like, and so when he said something like that,
Hmm.
um, people assumed, did he go to a zoo? Did somebody have a pet rhino? Did somebody have? But then, like, when you realize that Richard Nixon was at this guy's house, and he's like, you're like, fuck, is this motherfucker talking about mermaids?
See, because Acapulco was a place that like a lot of celebrities and things would go to like go on vacation and
That was
whatever.
the spot.
Uh-huh. And that was where Cantinflas had one of his houses. He had multiple places, and like in other places he would work, he would do all these things. But there's this man that was like talking about how there he would go only to relax. Like that was the only thing that he would do there, was just like vacation there, relax there. Like he didn't really do much when he was at home, like there, I guess, like because he was, I don't know, with the mermaids or
Yeah, he
whatever.
was with the mermaids,
Yeah.
and
um but
there was
that they did live there. He says that he fully believes there were mermaids there.
that there were mermaids that he probably captured. I mean, fuck, like look at that intricate system.
Yeah.
The fact that to me the creepiest thing was the fact that he would like throw meat into the water, like just throw meat and then like throw meat into his pools. They're like, what are you doing? The guy's so fucking. That's so creepy. Look at those.
Supposedly that cage is from his house, and supposedly that's like one of the bedrooms. I don't know how true that is, but that's a shell, like a
Yeah,
mermaid would want.
yeah, it's like a mermaid shell. And that
But like,
cage, people are saying like that's not even the same place. Well, you haven't seen the whole. Like a lot of people
mhm,
haven't seen the whole estate.
yeah,
Like that place was big.
it was
You
huge.
know,
And there's a
so
lot of rooms, like bedrooms, just like random little rooms. I watched a video where they took this, I don't know, he calls himself I don't know, he's like a paranormal whatever, and
yeah,
he was saying, that he felt this like energy in the room, that they were doing rituals there, and like there was all these things, and people go in to do like investigations, and they hear noises everywhere, and they take like their little spirit boxes, and they try to contact, I guess, like the mermaids that were there, because apparently like they believe that mermaids died in this place too, you know. um I don't know, it's all weird.
yeah. It's all the whole thing is weird. So he was involved in a relationship with a woman from California, and she said that that he would spend time in California, like at her house, like stay for a week or two, and he says that all he would do is like be restless, and he just wanted to talk about these mermaids, and all he would talk about is like he was supposed to stay there for a whole week, and he would stay there for 3 days, and it's like I want to get back to my mermaids. It's like, what the fuck are you talking? Imagine that fucking weirdo. So he
Does
ended up.
that does that make you think more that there were mermaids there if he was that impatient to like get back?
I don't know. So it's just like sounds like such a creepy but sad, like very sad life, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and why would he want these mermaids? Like for what? They probably stink.
Well,
You know,
he told that man that gave him the rock or whatever that he was really attracted to mermaids and that he didn't want a normal life. That like his deepest desire was to be in a relationship, a loving romantic relationship with a mermaid.
With a mermaid, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so fucking bizarre. So you have, man, it's crazy because you watch his movies and you would never suspect, but then every once in a while he would throw something in about the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Like the ocean's mysteries, or listen to what the ocean's telling us, and all these kind of things. And in his movies, like out of nowhere, it's like a weird quote. So also, there was a famous singer and a movie star in Mexico. His name was Pedro Infante.
Mm-hmm.
And he sang the songs of Estas son las mañanitas, or yeah, it's a birthday song. Or Amorcito corazón, yo tengo tentación
That's what you
de
say
un
when you make birria
beso.
tacos.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like making those fucking tacos. Me with a fat back. Anyway, so that guy was famous, and he supposedly died in a plane crash. I say supposedly because people said that Cantinflas, and you could look this up, guys. Cantinflas, I guess, helped him fake his death, and he put him up in one of his ranches. And at first, he put him in this again. This is hearsay, you
Mm-hmm.
know. He put him in his Acapulco house, and some people said that he didn't want to be there, like nope, nope, so then they said that they saw him like get into another car, and instead he went to go stay in a different estate, like out there out in the country. So people are like, why wouldn't you want to stay in Acapulco if this is true? Like, why wouldn't he? It's a private area, blah blah blah. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what if he was scared of the mermaids, or he's like, what the fuck are you doing?
like he had heard all these things or something. He was like, "Yeah, no thanks."
No thank you. But yeah, like put up those pictures again. I mean,
Of what?
like I said, such a happy dude, in
Mm-hmm.
movies and all these kind of things. And then, like, yeah, like that picture where he's smiling.
Yeah,
It's that, like, that's what I remember. It's like he
yeah.
would dance, he would tell jokes, he was funny, he would do stunts. And then you look at the shit that he had in his house. Like,
Mm-hmm.
put back that fucking cage, like that. Like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell? And
Yeah.
put the other one too. Like,
There's which one? The one where it just looks like cages like on top, like
yeah,
bars.
yeah, look at that. Like,
These people, the same from this video, they went into this room and the guy was talking about how it looked like there were scratches on the wall.
oh shit.
And he's like, like it looks like scratches from like a hand or from, like fingers or whatever. And that was one of the rooms that was close to the water.
What? Yeah, and it's crazy because that's how you determine, like, is this a human hand? You put your hand up to it and see like the
Mm-hmm.
digits, and then you can kind of like do that. That's what they do in cases where they find scratches like alongside a wall, and then
Yeah,
what they do is they measure it, like, okay,
this is part of
and
the back.
it's so creepy. I don't know what if it's like because if it's because it's nighttime, or if because it's overgrown because of it just looks creepy.
Yeah.
That's a
Mm-hmm.
place where you murder somebody.
It's a very weird build. Like
Yes.
when you watch the video, there's a lot of like little passageways. Half of it is like outside, half is inside. The rooms have like gigantic windows. Some rooms have no windows at all. Like it's just very weird.
Yeah, I've seen the ones where they don't have any windows at all,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's pools, and normally, like in a pool area, you want to have sunlight come in or something,
Mm-hmm.
and pool and like a small circular pool. And like I said, there's no windows, there's nothing. There's only one way to get in at a big steel door. And they're like, this is supposed to be a prison.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean? And then the water, like, no. And then you look at, and the walls are stained white because it's salt water.
Yeah, this is the other pool that's directly next to that big pool. So this is like already worn down or whatever, but there used to be a slide. So I don't know if you can see like where that opening is, right
Yeah.
to the left. Those are mermaid legs. So there was a mermaid statue laying down across that like opening there. Now it's like broken in half.
Oh, that's weird. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Kind of see it.
So that's supposed to be like a mermaid or whatever. She's supposed to be laying down like from where the toes, let's say, start to where the opening is.
Look at that. Look at that pillar. You see those deep grooves in there?
Mm-hmm.
That's to attach a steel. So like I wonder if it was like
That's weird.
Yeah, that's like to like insert and weld like steel directly on it. So what you do is you have a pillar, you do an opening, and in that opening you have rebar or like a big piece of steel in there. That way you can just put whatever other piece of steel you have, you just weld it on, and then that way now you have a construction.
You see, just like this setup alone is weird. Like there's stairs going up into the rest of the house, but then right next to it there's stairs leading onto this like statue, but then there was tiny little stairs going from like that little plank up to that part that looks like a big window, because like all this was open. Like just like, why so many stairs?
Yeah, there's a lot of people, probably because like mermaids can't climb stairs.
I was gonna say, you think you tried to like make it difficult for them to
probably. I mean, yeah, it's weird. And like I said, so normally you see those type of pillars when they do enclosures for animals, like
really
aquatic,
like big concrete.
Yeah,
pillars.
yeah. So like when you want to, yeah. So yeah, it's so weird. What's also creepy is that that stone that I said that whistled, that kind of stuff that people say. So I don't know if there's videos out there, but I've heard people that there was like videos up on YouTube where they say that if there's a full moon and you're riding like a boat or something through that area and you hear like a faint whistle, they're like, oh, Cantinflas está chiflando las sirenas. Say Cantinflas is whistling at the mermaids.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck?
There's people that say that they've seen, obviously, like, but there's people that say that they've seen that statue like come to life and he'll throw himself into the water.
Whoa.
Yeah. There's people that say that it'll come to life and you'll see him like, or you'll hear him like whistling, like waiting, calling the mermaids, like doing all that. A lot of people say you can still see mermaids swimming in those pools, that they like come back to visit him because they don't know if he's dead. Bunch of people in the video where I got these screenshots, they stand close to the water, and it's actually not even just them, it's multiple channels that have done this, but they stand close to the water and you can hear what sounds like bubbles coming up.
Oh yeah.
And it's weird. Like it sounds like, but like not just like water like lapping at like the
but it's like like there's like a steady flow of air like going through.
Yeah,
It's fucking
weird.
creepy. Whenever this is where probably like a past trauma. Whenever I hear whistling at night, it gives me goosebumps. Like because I had an experience when I was younger. With a certain entity called El Silbón. It's the whistler. So like when I heard that and it's like, oh, and you can hear whistling, and I immediately goosebumps from head to toe. So right now I'm talking about like, yeah, and you can hear whispers and like my fucking arm hairs are standing up.
You'll do that now.
Fucking trauma, don't do it.
It's I don't know.
Like,
yeah, it was like a Mexican. Yeah, I don't know. It's exactly like that. It's very weird. The whole thing, like just the fact that he was attracted to this.
Yeah. Basically, that does fit like the description of what they gave: the tiny nose, the fish eyes.
Yep.
It's so bizarre because I see stuff like that, and and a lot of people are like, it's so stupid, but I believe it. Like I
There has
believe
to be
it with
something
my
else.
heart.
You
Yeah.
know, there has to be. Like, I don't think that we're so special. We're the only ones here. Like, no,
Yeah,
there has to be something.
but like also like imagine if let's say that somebody's like, what do you want to see? And they're like, oh, I've always wanted to like hang out with the Loch Ness monster, and here's this flute, like the Green Power Ranger, and then you have this. So you do that, motherfucker. So
I play the flute.
so so anyway, so like imagine if somebody gave you like a flute and like you did something called the Loch Ness monster, and then it works. And of course you're gonna be like, fuck, like I just want to get home and hang out with the Loch Ness monster, like I can, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it's something like the Loch Ness monster doesn't exist. It's like, well, I was just hanging out with him. He asked me for 350,
Yeah.
And so imagine if you had the ability or you had an object that calls in mermaids. Like, of course, that's all you want to do. You want to like go hang out with your mermaids, But then, would you go to the extreme where you're building steel cages for them?
No.
Where you're like, I'm gonna trap them and I'm gonna keep them prisoner.
Well, no, I mean, see, like that's where it's weird though, is that like some people said, like they lived there because they would go there during the day to like be with him, like they got to know him, they wanted to be around him, and then there's the other ones that are like, yeah, he trapped them there. So
Yeah,
it's like what happened?
So with the like for example, like, oh, they would go and hang out. Like, what if he had something of theirs, And he's like, oh, you want this back? You want this safe? You have to. You never know.
The secret of their existence.
Yeah, And imagine if people found out they were mermaids, immediately they would start like hunting them. Like, oh fuck it, you know how much mermaid hair costs? They'd be hunted to extinction. Well, I don't know. Like to me, it's just so bizarre because to me, the disturbing thing is the cages, because it's like if they're your friends or if they just want to hang out with you, why do you have bars?
Yeah.
Why do you make it hard for them to leave? Why do you make it easy for them? Why are you making fish traps? They could go in, but it's hard for them to get out.
What if it was more of like I'll trap your food for you, come hang out with me?
But maybe. I guess I didn't even.
Bars wouldn't really hold little fishies.
No, put those bars up. Beef tips. Put those bars up again. Yeah, that's not gonna hold fish. They'll go right through.
Yeah,
that wouldn't hold the average Mexican.
So maybe like crab. I don't know. Like I have no idea.
Wouldn't they be able to get it themselves?
Yeah, but I mean,
why, right?
Well, maybe not. I was gonna say, would you rather hunt your food? But yes, you would. So
yeah, I would.
Maybe them. They, didn't want. I don't know. Maybe they're tired from work or something. They're like, I just want to go eat.
Yeah, I've been fucking working this call center all fucking day.
Yeah.
No, it's just so weird. It's a creepy like story where you see a person. You can look at them like this person was obsessed, this person was in love, this person was this, or you can watch a person like mentally deteriorate. And like slowly descend into madness. Like fucking add more cages, but more cages.
See, and there's a couple people that are like, this is what happens when you have as much money as he had. He had everything, So like, what do you do when you have it's what a lot of celebrities, like do is like they turn to things that they're not supposed to, be doing.
Well, it's a good thing this guy was just hunting mermaids and not children.
Not children like all the other ones. So, like there's people that are like, he became obsessed with this idea because he already had everything else. So he wanted something that I guess was like kind
exotic.
of or just like unattainable. So he became obsessed with this thing.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense too. Like, fuck, that's such a good. Like to me, the darkest part of this is that these were, like I said several times, like these were rumors. Were like, did you know that he? Did you know? And then finally, the house sells, and they're like, holy shit. Like imagine like being the first people to like let's go inside his mansion, let's see what's in here. Is it a giant theater? Is it? And you're like, holy shit, that the stories are true.
Yeah, and I don't know how they would have gotten, like further into the house. I know that there's pools everywhere. Like just
Yeah,
from what I've seen, I think I saw like 4 or 5. And there's 2 in the back that are like right next to each other, which is insane. But 2 in the back, and then in the upper level there's another one, and then somewhere inside there's another one. Like, what do you want so many for? It's weird.
it's very weird. But like I said, it's one thing is to have like an obsession with swimming or with the ocean. Dark rooms that like if you didn't bring a candles, a flat, there was also like no source of actual light in some of those rooms.
Yeah.
It was just a fucking dark place with a fucking cage, with like bars and a
Hmm.
shallow pool. And unless you brought like a lantern or something, that room is going to be pitch black. There's no sunlight going in. There's no like, what is this? You
Yeah, it
know?
was weird. It's weird.
Yeah, it's creepy. It's bizarre. So anyway, guys, no sponsors, just a couple shout outs. Let's give a couple shout outs to Render the Darkness
Hmm.
and Dreamscape Chronicles. Check out their stuff. Really good shit. Also, the Ghost Man. Get your shit together, you dirty motherfucker. Shaun Burris. Check out his Shadow Nations podcast on YouTube and shadownation.com. Groceries and ghosts. Who knows what's going to happen with that?
Who
So,
knows?
who knows? He's supposed to be coming back on. Like he wants to come back on and do a show. So we'll see what happens with that. If you ever give me a minute, leave that woman alone. I'll put on a wig. I'm kidding. Anyway, so T Public, get you a damn. I might as well just like bring up like the new mermaid things, like mermaids in a cage, just
Jeez.
so yeah. Yeah, T Public, get yourself a shirt, get yourself a mug. Shout out to the main event, in his art. So go ahead and check him out. Link in the description, maybe. I don't know. And I think is that it? Oh, Nate, Paranormal Nate, Static
Mhm.
Voices. Check out his show. I forgot what it's called. Paranormal
Paranormal.
Unveiled.
Yep.
Paranormal Unveiled. And also check out his book. Are you ready? Okay. His book is called Mermaid Erotica with Mario Moreno Cantinflas and his magical stones. But yeah, check it out. It's a good book.
Yeah.
I use it all the time when I can't get going. I better
Yeah.
read
You're
some
right.
mermaid tales.
Yeah.
So that's it, guys. So remember to always look both ways, especially if you want a mermaid wig.
Oh.